Colts win. How about that? It's an opening day victory for the Indianapolis Colts. You have to be excited about it if you're a Colts fan because we have not had a chance to be 1-0 as Colts fans in a very long time. Let's celebrate. Let's get your comments. You can give them to me on YouTube. I believe the comments that I'm going to see today are going to be on YouTube. I'm working solo. Adam Lundy's still on vacation. Tomorrow he will leave the Sunshine State, return back here to Indiana so that he can get back to his duties at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. But it is just going to be me, and I've got plenty to talk about. We've got to break down this Indianapolis Colts victory because it was impressive in many different ways. I mean, admit it, if you're a Colts fan, this was far more than you ever expected to see from this Indianapolis Colts squad. Daniel Jones, pleasantly a surprise. I mean, left no doubt. You know, the worst thing that could have happened for the Colts is if Daniel Jones would have gone out there and been very mediocre and the Colts would have struggled their way, sloshed their way to a win despite a poor day from Daniel Jones. Then you would have started to talk about, is there a quarterback controversy in Indianapolis? Did they pick the right guy? Well, we were 1 week in, and I know it's very small sampling, but this is exactly what the Colts wanted from a quarterback since, well, Andrew Luck, and I think they got decent quarterback play from Phillip Rivers. Other than that, it's been bad for a number of years. And so finally you see somebody who looked like they were poised, they were confident, they threw the ball on time and on target. I mean, it couldn't have been a better day for the Indianapolis Colts. The defense was as advertised. It was much more aggressive. It was much more disguised. I mean, so many things that went well. Hey, we appreciate you being here. Make sure you jump to the subscribe button and click that button to be part of this channel. We want you to never miss one of our postings, one of our videos, one of our live shows. And the only way you know that you're going to be here for it is if you click the subscribe button and then ring the bell to get the alerts. Now, here's the thing about subscribing, because right now subscribing, when it comes to streaming video, is all over the place. Everybody thinks if you subscribe, you're making some kind of a commitment. Is it annual? Is it monthly? Can I break my lease, so to speak? Well, here's the thing. When you subscribe on YouTube, there is no fee. There is no cost to you. It's basically just giving a stamp of approval to that channel. And it also helps YouTube kind of sort channels that you want to see on your subscriptions page. So when they start throwing a bunch of videos at you, you can say, wait a minute, let me look at the ones I've picked myself and see if there's anything new I haven't seen among that group. And that group would be the ones you subscribe to. So it's very smart. If you're watching this right now, if you want to talk Northeast Indiana sports, if you want to talk Fort Wayne sports, you want to talk the Colts, Pacers, Fever, what you do is you click the subscribe button, and that's how you stay connected with us here at the Sports Rush. I'm feeling almost giddy. And I'll tell you what, I know someone who isn't all that giddy, and that's my son down in Southeast Florida, living in the Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area. He, of course, not far from Miami. In fact, not far from Hard Rock Stadium, to be quite honest. He's almost halfway between Hard Rock Stadium's about halfway between the house and downtown Miami because it's off to the north, almost northwest a little bit of downtown Miami. And so he's been to Dolphins games. He follows the Dolphins. He was on top of it. He was not feeling all too good about his football team, and I was really enjoying it. I was trying not to rub it in his face too much, but that was a fun one if you're a Colts fan. First of all, it got started the right way from the very first possession. And the Colts, welcome to Indianapolis, Tyler Warren. Wow. I already told you, I made my prediction weeks ago. And for those of you that have been following, you can verify this. Weeks ago, I said, Tyler Warren is going to be the rookie of the year in the NFL. Tell me I'm not right. Tell me I'm not right. What you saw today, unbelievable. The guy is going to have an incredible year. He may end up being the best tight end in the league after his first year in the league. The Chicago Bears made a huge mistake by taking, was it Colton Colson Loveland, the kid they took out of Michigan? with the number 9 pick, passing on Tyler Warren, letting him drop right into the breadbasket of Chris Ballard. And thank God Ballard didn't have to think about this pick. I mean, they already knew going in they needed a tight end desperately. They already knew there were some tight ends that were going to be on the board. Tyler Warren was clearly the best among that group. We thought, or I thought, that the Colts should probably be aggressive and go up and get Tyler Warren and don't let the Bears have the first pick of the crew, because we know how that turned out when you gave two teams chances to draft quarterbacks before you got Anthony Richardson. Both of the quarterbacks taken ended up now looking better than Anthony Richardson. But the Colts took the gamble, and the Chicago Bears fumbled big time when they took Loveland. Now, Loveland may end up fitting in their offense. He may be productive. We'll see. But I'll tell you this. He's not going to be Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is a beast. You can put him in the backfield as a fullback. He ran a power formation with a dive play for a first down. They set him up on screens. He can lead block out of screen actions. He can go downfield and make plays. Just what a gift. What a gift. And what a day for Tyler Warren. Colts statistically dominated this game just about as much as what you see on the scoreboard. Final score 33-8. And the 8 came against the Colts' backup defense, for those of you that didn't have a chance to watch. But for total yardage, the Colts threw for 262. They ran for 156. They had 418 yards of offense. The Miami Dolphins, 211 yards of total offense. 133 passing today for the Dolphins. They put pressure on Tua. If you listen to my preview, my 5-minute preview that I did on this game this morning, I said one of the keys to the game is going to be, number one, pressuring Tua. Get to him, put some pressure on him. He's a completely different passer when he feels comfortable in the pocket versus when he feels pressured in the pocket. When he's comfortable in the pocket, he might just be the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. When he feels pressure, he gets forced into mistakes. He gets rid of it off the wrong foot or on bad timing or before a guy gets out of his break. And that's when the mistakes happen. And the Colts put pressure on him. And a lot of it is that defense, which we'll talk more about. Give us your thoughts. Once again, leave a comment. Justin, I got a couple of comments from you. I'll get to those here in just a minute. But 418 yards of offense to 211. Time of possession was pretty dominant, too. Colts had it 38 minutes, 43 seconds. Dolphins, 21 minutes, 17 seconds. Not close. Third and fourth down, the Colts were good. 7 of 15 on third down. Perfect 3 for 3 on fourth down. And I'll tell you what, Shane Steichen hasn't changed a bit. Midfield with a big lead. And what was he doing? He was going for it on 4th and 1.5 yards, or almost 2 yards. It makes you a little nervous because that could really change the game the other direction if you don't make it. But he was confident in his defense, believed in his offense, and it paid off because the Colts were perfect on fourth down tries. The Dolphins, by the way, 1 for 2 on fourth downs and 5 for 10 on third down conversions. So the Colts, they were better on third down conversions. The late drives, couple of third down conversions for the Dolphins kind of swayed that statistic. Individually, take a look at the stats. Tua finished for the Dolphins 14 of 23 for 114 yards. He had 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 51.7. Meanwhile, Daniel Jones, this was as close to perfect as perfect can be based on what your expectations. Don't lie about it. You were just hoping that Daniel Jones didn't screw up too bad. And instead, he was a key part of a 33-point producing offense. Daniel Jones finished 22 of 29, 272 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 115.9. Pretty impressive. Receiving for the Colts, we talked about Tyler Warren with his 7 catches for 76 yards. He was, he's good. I mean, we felt this way on the night of the draft when everything fell into place and Chris Ballard, who's so staunch and wasn't going to move up, stayed there at number 14 and everything fell into place. And there was Tyler Warren, and the Colts may have made the best draft pick in Chris Ballard's era. Michael Pittman, another guy that kind of fell to the Colts in the second round a number of years ago. Pittman ended up with 6 catches. He had 80 yards. He led the Colts in receiving yards, a touchdown catch for Pittman. And in fact, they said on the TV broadcast that Michael Pittman had not had a home touchdown reception in like 12 games. That takes you back to 2023. And so he breaks a long streak. The Colts break their long streak. Since 2013, they had not won an opener. The best they had done was 1 tie, but they get it done today, and they get it done emphatically, 33-8. All right, let's see what Justin's got to say. Nice win by the Colts. Difference today was the defense being able to control most of the clock. Excellent job by Danny Dimes. Also, he went on to say, finally have a great defensive coordinator. Amen. Amen. The last 2 defensive coordinators, Gus Bradley and Eberflus, neither one of them was I ever high on. And again, I know there's probably some new people that are jumping onto this show to talk Colts football. And maybe you haven't listened to the radio show. It's a whole different medium, different format, different audience. But if you've listened to the radio show, I've left no doubt that I've never been pleased with the Colts defensive coordinators. I thought Gus Bradley gave you a vanilla look, a vanilla defense, and it was very easy to game plan and to attack. And team after team did. I was so excited when I looked up at the TV and the Colts had 8 guys lined up right at the line of scrimmage defensively. 8 guys right on the line. They had 3 defensive backs that were in coverage. Now, they were not planning on rushing 8, but they actually didn't have a base 4-2 type of look at the line of scrimmage. They showed 8 at the line of scrimmage and made the Dolphins figure out who's coming, who's dropping. And they had variations of that throughout the game. In fact, Latu had the interception on one of those plays where they lined up, I think, 6 or 7 at the line of scrimmage. He dropped into pass coverage, and Tua threw it right to him. And you had a defensive end making a pick about 10 yards downfield. How cool was that? One of the 2 interceptions that Tua threw, and the other one was intercepted by one of the Colts' new secondary pickups. And I said last week, I felt pretty good about the Colts secondary. In fact, we asked Greg Rakestraw, who joined us last week, is the secondary perhaps the strength of the Colts now as far as a position group? Because they went from perhaps the biggest concern to the greatest strength in an off season, because Chris Ballard finally decided to really address it. Charvarius Ward, how good was he? He was terrific in coverage. I mean, there were no busted plays, big plays for the Miami Dolphins. And, Jalen Waddle was almost a no-show. Tyreek Hill didn't do a whole lot. So it tells you that the Colts corners were locking them up, keeping them out of rhythm and timing, keeping them in front for the safeties. The pressure was getting to Tua. I mean, the Colts game plan, and again, when you get a good defensive coordinator, and a lot of people are criticizing the job he did in Cincinnati. Wake up and look at the roster. Cincinnati had to dump off a lot of their very best defensive players over the last 2 to 3 years. Jesse Bates III from right here in Fort Wayne, he was one of those casualties because they were getting their payroll in position to pay guys like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the other wide receiver. Can't think of him right now, but they were preparing to pay the offense. So they were letting defensive players that were going to be high cost guys go away when they became free agents. And so Lou Anarumo did not have the personnel that he needed. And there is two things that you have to do to have a good defense. One is you have to have somebody who's got a scheme and a game plan that can be effective. And number two, you've got to have the players that can execute that game plan. I thought today the Colts game plan and execution of the game plan were outstanding. The best I've seen defensively from the Colts in a very long time. I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a defense that looked like this for the Indianapolis Colts, because it's been vanilla. It seems like it's been people who really weren't overly prepared or didn't have the players prepared. These players knew what they were supposed to be doing. They didn't have doubt. I thought how quickly the Colts adjusted to Anarumo's defense is pretty impressive, because there wasn't doubt. There wasn't guys sitting back. They were aggressive. Kenny Moore comes flying in with a blitz off the corner edge. Nick Cross comes flying in on a blitz, a safety blitz, where he snuck up to the line of scrimmage. That's something else I noticed the Colts were doing, is they were putting two safeties back, and then pre-snap they were moving one up into the box, or maybe all the way up to the line of scrimmage, just to throw different looks. Sometimes they were coming, sometimes they weren't. The other thing is, in that third quarter into early fourth, the other thing I noticed was Zaire Franklin was primarily a pass rusher. He wasn't in coverage. And if you remember, in the first half, he got beat badly on pass coverage assignment, where he dropped back and the tight end made a cut in toward the middle of the field, and Franklin ended up way behind him and left him wide open for like a 12-yard gain. And from that point forward, Anarumo, it's not like he benched him, but what he did was he kind of maybe adjusted the game plan and thought, okay, he's having trouble matching up in that coverage. We'll move him into a pass rushing position, and we'll cover up that area with coverage in some other type of scheme or setup. So, I mean, again, everything was done so brilliantly. When you hold a team, almost shut them out. And if it wasn't for the second string defense being in there, I think this would have been a shutout. Because a lot of the second string defense was playing when Miami finally scored. But I thought the defense for the Colts, outstanding today. Outstanding. Rick saying it's not a high school defense anymore. Come on, Rick. You're offending high school defenses when you say that. Most high school defenses have more complexities than the Colts defense has had over the last 4 or 5 years. Shane Steichen calling plays with a quarterback that he finally has confidence in. I mean, Daniel Jones was terrific. You could trust him, especially today. Now, we don't know what he looked like in practice. Has he looked like this the entire camp, and we just didn't get a chance to see a whole lot of it, or the media that was there was only seeing small glimpses and just taking small sampling and trying to figure out, well, who's winning the competition? Because today it was no contest. Now, Anthony Richardson probably still would have won this game, but there were plays that Daniel Jones made where he read the coverages. There was one, was it the fourth down play in the first half? I should have written it down. And if I remember correctly, he put Josh Downs on a little quick out route, because the slot corner on that side of the field came on a blitz. It was brilliant. Daniel Jones checked out of whatever they were supposed to run, looked over, saw some kind of a tip that blitz was coming, went to a play that was designed to go to that side of the field, knowing Downs would be open. He had no hesitation, took the snap, turned through, and here comes that blitzer. He never even got close to Jones, and it was an easy first down conversion on a fourth down play. I think it was early in the game. I do know that. Fantastic win for the Colts. All right, let me check my notes. I gotta see what I've got here, because I did jot a few notes down. Didn't write down everything. One thing that I thought was really key to that first half, the Colts physically wore down the Miami defense. If you noticed by the second quarter, now remember, these are guys that probably have not played more than a quarter of football in any game so far. And I'm sure they didn't have a 12 and a half minute to 2.5 minute disadvantage in time of possession when they played their quarter. So they had to play 12 and a half minutes of defense out of the first 15 minutes of the game. And the second quarter, you could see that the Colts were starting to just push them around. And I thought that was huge, that the Colts had established that huge lead with time of possession because of the forced turnover, because they had forced a punt. They had the ball. I mean, in the first half, it was like, well, what did it end up being in that first half? It was like 22 or 23-7, I think, was first half. I mean, the Colts just dominated time of possession, and they wore Miami down. Again, it was great to see the aggressive defense, not only pre-snap, but post-snap. The Colts were blitzing. They were sending different guys at the quarterback, sometimes dropping guys that were normally pass rushers, like Latu, who dropped back and made the interception. And then they showed different looks pre-snap. And it did confuse. You could tell. There were a couple of times where Tua was a little unsure who was coming on the rush and what coverages the Colts were in. They disguised it. The Colts had never disguised defenses under Gus Bradley. They line up and say, here's our 4 linemen. Here's our 2 linebackers. If the corner comes up and starts cheating in, he's probably a blitzer. I mean, they just tipped off everything they did. No disguise at all. And I'm like, in the NFL, if you don't hide what you're doing, it's kind of like if you line up in a formation and all you do is run from that formation. Or you have another formation and all you do is pass. Doesn't take long for NFL coaches, staff, scouts to figure out what's coming. The Colts did it willingly on defense under their previous defensive coordinators. It was great to see Lou Anarumo decide to change some things up, different looks pre-snap. Let's put all 8 guys up at the line of scrimmage. All of our linemen, all of our linebackers, and a couple slot corners. We'll put them up there too. We'll put everybody up. We'll play 5 defensive backs. We'll put 2 of them at the line of scrimmage. I mean, it was fantastic. And the Colts put pressure on Tua. Sometimes they came off the edge. Sometimes it was pressure up the middle. Tua's not a big, tall quarterback, so sometimes pressure up the middle is really effective on a guy like that. Great to see for the Colts. But what did you think? Let me know. The new secondary also was a note that I put that new secondary is a much improved secondary. Corner coverages were really good. Safeties made plays. I think they had in their secondary, I think they had 1 missed tackle, and I'm not sure that was one of the starters because that was getting into the fourth quarter when they had that. Let us know what you think by sending me a message. Got a pretty good group on here watching right now, so I'd love to have you give us your comments. And again, I wish I could see. Let me just see if I can jump over and check, because the one thing I don't want to have happen is miss any comments. Okay, it doesn't look like we've got a Facebook comment, but if you do want to leave a comment, check out YouTube at Brett Rump, BRETTRUMP, and that would be the easiest way to give me a comment that I can actually see on my screen. I am trying to see if there's anything more that came in. Rick Longsworth, got a couple of messages, I believe. Let's see. There's one up here. Yeah. Justin Hartsoff. Sorry, Justin. I really do. I see your name. I don't know how to say your last name. Colts finally got a great defensive coordinator. The mad scientist might have made the Colts better, and I don't think there's any might about it. I think he has clearly made the Colts a much better football team. And we got pretty much what I expected, what I said I thought would happen. The only difference is that Miami didn't score like I thought they would. But I talked about the Colts and that they had to ride Jonathan Taylor. He had to be the guy that the Colts could establish offensively, give him the ball, let him go to work. He's got to be a threat so everything plays off him. Daniel Jones is best when he can run play action, sometimes the bootleg, sometimes in the pocket. But he's got to be able to run bootleg, read option, all of that, and it depends on the running game if it's going to be effective. And so I said this morning in the video that the Colts were going to have to get good runs and get a productive day out of Jonathan Taylor. They did. They didn't play him in the fourth quarter. He ended up 70-some yards rushing. I think he had 18 carries, averaged almost 4 yards a run. For him, those are somewhat pedestrian numbers, but it was effective because it came in a balanced offense where the Colts were running it, they were running play action, and they were taking some deep shots down the field. How about that play thrown toward the sideline to Alec Pierce, where he kind of reversed his feet and went up and got it and still got both feet down? That was awesome. Let's see. Green Bay, Detroit. You know, I missed the finish on Pittsburgh, New York. They were having a heck of a game. If anybody wants to clue me in on what happened there, because that was a back and forth tight game. Aaron Rodgers going back to New York, play his old team. And then Justin Fields, same thing for the Jets. But for the Jets, they're relying more on the run, where Pittsburgh is going to have to rely somewhat on Aaron Rodgers. Let's go ahead and look at the scores while we can, because I had a monitor here with the game on. Steelers won it. They kicked a late field goal, and they won 34-32 over the Jets. So Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are 1-0. The game that I was watching, I have the under, and it's the Jaguars and Panthers. And I thought both those teams are going to struggle to make it out of the 20s. And I think the over-under is like 41.5 or 42.5, something like that. They got 23 points. They had a rain delay. They got 23 points, and there's a minute left in the third. I feel pretty good about that one. Titans-Broncos are underway, 3-3 game. 49ers-Seahawks, 4:26 left in the first. They're scoreless. Packers-Lions, scoreless. Texans-Rams, pretty good slate of 4 o'clock games today. And then coming up tonight will be I think the best game of the day, at least probably the most high profile, when you've got the Ravens taking on the Buffalo Bills. All right, so tell me what you think. Give us your thoughts, your comments. All right, so we've got other things we do want to talk about. Again, want to take a quick look. Oh, you know what? Before we get off the Colts, I got to point this out. Spencer Schrader, who won a little bit of a kicking competition before the season to win the kicking job, he was great. He was dead center on 4 field goals. 4 for 4 on field goals, 3 for 3 on extra points. Kudos to Spencer Schrader. Now, we got to see what he does when he's got to kick a 54-yarder or a 55-yarder and see if he can kick them from there, because one of the knocks on Schrader is, does he have the deep leg? Can he hit the 50-yarder? And I'm told Boswell had a 60-yard field goal to beat the Jets. Wow. 34-32. Pittsburgh beats the New York Jets. But I thought Schrader was really good as well. for as the Colts kicker. So probably better or more reliable than Matt Gay. And I don't know what happened to Gay, because I thought when the Colts signed him, he was going to be a pretty reliable guy, much like Adam Vinatieri. And okay, so today the Colts had the Ring of Honor ceremony for Jim Irsay. Isn't Vinatieri still living in the Indianapolis area? Most of the Indy guys that are still down there, they attended today. Peyton Manning, of course, was there. Jeff Saturday was there. Dallas Clark was there. Number of guys that were prominent during the 2000s and the Super Bowl team. I mean, they were there for Jim Irsay being put into the Ring of Honor, but did not see Adam Vinatieri. Pat McAfee was there, and Tyrese Halliburton was also there. So Fever actually playing today. The Fever playing their penultimate game, because they played today and they got one game left. If they win today, they lock it up. They're in the playoffs. Their magic number is 1. Either they've got to win one of the remaining 2, or the Sparks have to lose one of their remaining 2. But the Fever are in action right now, and they're leading the Mystics 60-47, 2:41 left in the third. If they can hold on, the Fever are going to be playoff bound, which is, I don't want to say amazing, because there's still plenty of talent on that team without Caitlin Clark. But it isn't just Caitlin Clark that they've had to overcome. A lot of credit goes to the front office, to Stephanie White, for some of the personnel moves, because a couple of the people they brought in were Stephanie White connections. But when you go through their roster and look at all of the key players that they have lost throughout this season and who they're missing right now, and players that have had to jump in and assume somewhat significant roles with this basketball team, it's amazing. It's not just missing Caitlin Clark. A lot of people know that Caitlin Clark's not playing, and everybody measures the Fever based on missing Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark alone. But that's not the story. The story is so many others that are, I mean, if you look at a practice, you've got some on the scooters, you've got some in boots, you've got some on crutches. I mean, it looks like you've entered the medical ward, and not a practice. And the Fever somehow are still going to get themselves into the playoffs. They might even be the number 7 seed. I don't know if they can get up to number 6, but they've got a real shot at number 7. And I, can't count them out. I mean, this team has shown a lot of heart, a lot of grit, a lot of resiliency, despite a lot of names that weren't even playing basketball when this season started. All right, so want to talk also today. The Fever we mentioned, the Tin Caps wrapping up their season today. Been a really tough season for the Tin Caps. And one thing that you got to make very clear is that the Tin Caps are not in control. And when I say the Tin Caps, I mean Parkview Field and the staff at Parkview Field. Those that we see that are the executives of the Tin Caps. No control over their roster. That roster is completely put together by the draft picks, the free agent signings, the scouting department of the San Diego Padres. And when guys are traded, they are traded by the Padres, not by the Tin Caps. And so when the Padres are aggressive trying to help the major league club, they are trading players that are generally within their minor league organizations, including the Tin Caps. This season really hurt because the talent already had dropped. I mean, it was the number 2 farm system in all of baseball 3 seasons ago. Then you saw the Padres get very aggressive when they saw their chance that maybe they could go for it. And they started making the moves for guys like Blake Snell and others. And when they did that, you saw minor leaguer after minor leaguer that got included in trades. Well, it may not even be minor leaguers that are part of the Tin Caps. it might be minor leaguers that are part of the organization right below the tin caps, or maybe even just above the tin caps. Well, that leaves holes in the roster. And if it's below the tin caps, those are guys that we're never going to see. Their talent is never going to come to Fort Wayne if they've been traded when they're in Lake Elsinore at low A. And when they earn a promotion to high A, it wouldn't be with the Padres organization anymore, so they wouldn't come to Fort Wayne. And it's also true that if you trade guys above you, if there's players traded at the AA level, that those roster spots are probably going to be filled by guys that are here in Fort Wayne, which means you take your most talented players, those you think that have the best chance to succeed at AA, and you move them up to fill in the roster holes. And then you have to bring guys up that you hope can compete here. Well, eventually that shuffle and all the trading, it just makes it very tough to compete. And eventually it caught up with the Tin Caps this year. The last 3 weeks of the season were very difficult, and they took on the best team in the league over the last week. I don't know what they did today to finish it off, but it was tough to watch what had happened, because at one point you had a lot of really good pitchers. Now, you didn't have a full roster of great pitchers, but you had 2 or 3 really good starters that you felt good about giving you a chance to win every time they went out there. And then you had 2 or 3 relievers that were pretty much shut down guys. And you're like, they can't pitch every day. They're only going to pitch once every 3 or 4 days. But if you get a lead, you can go to the one of those relievers and then have the other guy close it. You felt pretty good about winning that ball game. And unfortunately, all of those guys ended up either traded or moved up to AA. And so it was a tough finish this year for the Tin Caps. But the good news, next season, the schedule is already out, and the Tin Caps will be home once again for a lot of your favorite holidays: Mother's Day, Father's Day, Memorial Day, and, of course, the 4th of July. The 4th of July, the actual 4th of July. Tin Caps will be at home. High school football over the weekend. I don't know where you were on Friday. We were at Bishop Luers as the Snyder Panthers avoided their first 0-3 start in school history by beating Bishop Luers on Friday night, 9-0. We stayed awake, brought you all of the action. We can prove that because we posted the podcast. It was three field goals and no touchdowns scored in that game with Snyder and Bishop Luers. And for Bishop Luers, they've got to figure something out. They did make a change at quarterback at halftime on Friday. They changed running backs, although they've been using 2 running backs, but one has been the primary guy. They made that flip, and they did have some opportunities in the second half, but they had a drop pass that was really costly, and they ended up falling 9-0. But that's 2.5 games, 10 straight quarters that Bishop Luers has gone without scoring a point. Thanks, Rick. West Michigan is up 5-0 in the 9th, 2 outs, which sets up my next story. Major League Baseball, and I've got to find out if John Nolan went to this game, because I do believe that Caitlin Clark and Lexi Hull were at this game last night as guests of Cal Ripken, because I saw the pictures posted on social media, and I'm like, I know John might not be in with Cal, but maybe he did find a way to get tickets and go to the game last night. One of the weirdest games in the season for Major League Baseball. Wild one, where Baltimore was down to their last out, getting no hit. Yamamoto, the right-handed pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, no hitter through 8 2/3. He only was 1 more out away from recording history and putting a no-hitter in the books with a 3-0 lead. And Baltimore hits a home run to break up not only the no-hitter, but break up the shutout and send Yamamoto to the showers, because he was well past his desired pitch count, and they were letting him try to finish the no-hitter. So as soon as there was a hit, they were going to, it didn't matter if it was a single or a home run, he was going to be out of the game. And so he gives up the home run. It's 3-1, bases empty, still 2 outs in the 9th. They bring in a reliever who just had an awful night. Gives up a double, a hit by pitch, back-to-back walks that forces in a run, puts the tying run at third, the go-ahead or winning run, walk-off run at second base, and the next guy up who faces a new pitcher. They finally took that guy out, put in a new pitcher, and the first batter he sees singles, and it's a 2-out rally, 4-run score. And not only do you forget about there ever being a no-hitter, but it ends up being a 4-3 Baltimore win over the Dodgers. That game could come back to be huge, as close as the Dodgers and the Padres are in the standings right now. That was crazy last night. Just unbelievable. All right, so this Friday, hope you join the radio coverage for Bishop Dwenger at Carroll. That is our Midwest Box Breaks game of the week, and it should be a darn good one in the Summit Athletic Conference. I will be at the Pine Valley Pizza Hut after the game with scores, highlights, coaches' interviews. We've got our scoreboard set up at our new Coventry Studios, the village of Coventry. And it's called The Mic. So we've got the scoreboard at The Mic. We've got the show taking place at Pizza Hut up until 11 o'clock. Just make high school football your choice for a Friday by tuning into the radio at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Colts, loving it. Love it, baby. By the way, I'm taking Baltimore tonight. I keep going back and forth on this. I'm just going to go with Baltimore. I usually take Buffalo at home. Total hunch, Baltimore tonight at Buffalo. Let me know any comments. Be sure you subscribe, like, give us that thumbs up, and always share the channel. Invite others to be part of the Sports Rush, because that's how we continue to bring you the latest insights. We're going to have some guests coming up here today. Since I was just going to go solo and the Colts were playing this afternoon, I thought I'll just jump on when the game ends. We'll do a live version instead of a recorded version, but we should get back to a pretty regular schedule. Next week, I know the Colts play at 4 o'clock, so it's going to be a little iffy when the show is going to be. Are we going to do it on Saturdays or Sundays, and what time? But we're still trying to figure that out. But Adam on vacation this week, so he'll be back next week. And hope to see you, too. Hope you come back and join us. And the way you can always join us is, so we don't have to call you and tell you, is just hit the subscribe button, click the bell, and like our channel. Have a terrific Sunday evening. Enjoy the rest of your football. Hope you have a great week. Hope we catch you next weekend, Friday night, high school football and more. But we appreciate you spending time with us here on this Sunday after a Colts win on the opening day, 33-8 over the Miami Dolphins.